We thought it was done. We thought it was
Completely
dead.
out of left field.
But talk about left field this week. I couldn't believe it. The Apple car lives, my friend. The Apple car lives.
Yeah, supposedly Apple has not thrown in the towel on this thing yet. Still planning to put a car on the road sometime in 2028,
That's
which
fine.
is a little bit later than previous estimates.
No, what do you mean?
Um,
Previous estimates was never. So this is a big upgrade.
well, the dates much closer to now have been floated. The more maybe interesting bit is that supposedly Apple is completely dropping the idea of having this be like a fully autonomous car that has no steering wheel and brake pedal and stuff like that. And they're making it more in line with like a Tesla, something like that. Limited capabilities, driver assistant things that you find in all kinds of normal cars already on the road. Um, Apple's been at this since 2014, supposedly. Project Titan. That's a decade for those of you who can't subtract. Uh, they've had a lot of changes, management changes, layoffs. One story says they're focused on this. Another story says they're just focusing on software. They've been testing cars at different places. So it's definitely a serious project. But like the headset was a rumored thing for years and years, and finally came to existence. Well, finally, it looks like this may actually come into existence. Just not how all of the most crazy sort of pie in the sky dreams of it would be. Um, I guess if you're really into the self-driving stuff, what they were talking about originally was level 5 autonomy, which is basically like can drive by itself, any condition, anywhere, anytime. Now supposedly they're going for a level 2 plus system. This is according to Mark Gurman over at
It's
Bloomberg.
big. That's a lot
Um,
of missing numbers there, Lewis. From a
yeah,
five
there's a
to a two
little bit of
plus.
a gap. I mean, there is no level 5 autonomy yet.
I don't think
And
there's
there
going to
was a
be anytime soon either. I'm sorry. Can I just interject here? We've been talking about autonomous driving cars for years. I mean, Tesla has been selling you this notion that as long as you buy the self-driving hardware in your car for $7,000, that they're going to activate it at some point. I still think we're 10 years away from that, to be honest with you. It has got to be like banking software. It has to be bulletproof before they release it. And there's all sorts of ethical questions, like if your car crashes, who owes the money for that crash? Is it you? Well, you weren't driving. Is it Elon Musk? Is it Tim Cook? Like, there's a lot of stuff that has to happen that we have to figure out in order for these autonomous cars to become a real thing. And it doesn't really feel like we're actually anywhere close to being there. It
although
feels like we're a far ways out.
they have been driving around streets of San Francisco. I mean,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
how well has
it
that been going?
exists.
The reports have been going that like the
Didn't one literally almost kill El Caney?
GM Cruise had to pull them all from the road, and they're getting like sued by the city.
I mean,
They
I
were
know.
causing all these
Well,
roadblocks and
But yeah,
San
but they're
crashes.
lightweight
Francisco's.
cars, so if they run over you, it's like you only break like a leg. You don't die.
I mean, my point is that they do exist. It is possible.
Well, they're testing
Yes,
them.
there are problems. Right? Yeah, yeah. But
Yep.
I mean, it's creepy and weird to see it. And yes, there's been some weird things like huddles of cars just parked in cul-de-sacs for no, like they're trying to take over the world, plotting something. It's very odd. And yeah, I think that I can't remember what the exact state of it is in San Francisco. They have like banned at least some of them. I'm not sure if they banned them all. But so what Apple's shooting for now, supposedly with this level 2 plus system, is it a car that's intelligent enough to keep in a lane and adapt its speed to other cars.
That'd be cool.
But but isn't that already available in like a Toyota Corolla? I mean, there are
A
already
Toyota
cars
Yaris.
that
Yeah.
they like you start to go out of the lane. It says no, let's steer you back into that lane a little bit. Let's put the brakes on if you get a little too close.
Sound like
So
it.
these things already happen. I mean, this is actually one reason why I really want a car, not even just an Apple car, but a new car, because there are all these different sort of safety features that are built into just everyday cars now. So it's kind of bizarre to hear Apple talking about like, oh well, we're gonna go back to this other plan that's way less innovative.
you hit on a good point there. Like the open question is, what does Apple really think that they're going to bring to this market that nobody else is already doing? What does Apple think that they can do better than every other auto manufacturer? If they can't do the level 5 autonomy, which, I which was never really feasible in the first place. If they're paring it down, then like what makes the Apple car special? Where does Apple think that they can innovate
I'll
here?
tell you.
And like what's attractive about entering a market that's both highly competitive, very mature, requires incredible complicated logistics that have nothing in common with anything else that you have in your product lineup, and has very slim margins.
Well,
It's
I like this graph from Gurman in this story. The latest plan for the car is seen internally as a Tesla, quote, Me Too product, one that doesn't break sniff new ground. But the company hopes to make the car stand out with a sleek design, safety systems, and unique user interface.
I think that's it, man. I think that might be enough.
It's just nicer.
It just has to be a car with features that people who buy cars want. It's going to have CarPlay, which GM cars don't have now.
All kinds of CarPlay.
And it's going to have cutting edge CarPlay, like things that we've never seen before. And it's going to be like being in an Apple store but inside a car. It's going to have this pristine aesthetic that only Apple could create. I think Tesla has a really beautiful interior, but I don't think that there's anyone that exists that has a better design sense than Apple, and to make a cabin that you would truly love to be in with all the integration that you would want with your Apple devices. You could put on your Vision Pro and have your rear view mirror broadcast inside of it. I mean, there's going to be all sorts of crazy stuff. There's going to be like, handoff between your car, your FaceTime call in your car, and so on and so forth. There's going to be all sorts of stuff that they can weave in. And there is space for one more good car company. And everyone's tripping over themselves to create the next cool electric car. Tesla's the only one that has really nailed the formula, I think. But if Apple came in with a car that was as good as a Tesla, but had a better design sense, I think that would actually appeal. Am I wrong, chat? Am I wrong? Tell me that I'm wrong. I don't think that I'm wrong. I mean,
if I recall correctly, the last piece of news that we heard before this was like I think a year and a half ago, that Kevin Lynch had been assigned to take over the project. So I wouldn't be surprised if, the story going on is that, we've heard about how Project Titan has had like shuffling project managers who've just like come in and left after a year. Apple hasn't really come anywhere close to shipping something. Kevin Lynch gets assigned to the project. Give it some time. Now we're actually hearing about, they're getting ready to make something finally.
Did you read the story? Because there was another paragraph in there that I just this kind of lit up my imagination. The new strategy was adopted after a series of frenzied meetings that included Apple's board, project head Kevin Lynch, and chief executive officer Tim Cook. The board had pressed Apple leadership about the car plan for several months during 2023, according to the people. Can you imagine Tim Cook on the hot seat? Where's the car, Tim? Al Gore. Where's the car?
Where's the car, Tim? My favorite line is this last one. Well, let me preface this with the absolute insane lofty goals that they had for Apple Car, right? It was going to fly. It was going to not have a steering wheel. You would just get in. It was like Johnny Cab. It was going to be completely autonomous. Now, the goal is to keep it below $100,000. That's it. We've gone from all that stuff. It's like, it's actually really hard. Let's just keep it below $100,000 and let's make it like Tesla, but slightly better. And Apple is a luxury brand like a Mercedes. I think having a car with an Apple logo on it is something a lot of people would be super interested in. And a lot of people are buying Rivians and buying Teslas. And I mean, there's no shortage of expensive cars out there. Why not have Apple in there too? I think they actually might do really well.